This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. This is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the all-new X-Zone Broadcast Network and the Talkstar Radio Network. Toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradiotv.com and www.xzonetv.com. Once again, X-Zone Nation, if you can dig into your pocket to help out the people in Haiti, they can use any help that you can afford to spare in these very trying times. We're pointing everyone to the Red Cross, the Canadian Red Cross at www.redcross.ca. That's for our Canadian listeners. And for our U.S. good friends, www.redcross.org. That's www.redcross.org. My guest this hour is a gentleman who needs very little introduction to anyone who has ever heard of those famous three little alphabets, UFO. My guest this hour is Jim Hickman. He is a ufologist, researcher, author, speaker, and all-around good guy. His website is www.hickmanreport.com. And joining me now is Jim Hickman. And Jim, how are you doing, old friend?
Rob, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Well, you know what? Yeah, well, you and I go back years. Let's see. We go back about, actually, 17, 18 years. And,
yeah, I've known you almost as long as I've known my wife.
I'm not going to touch that one, Jim, but thanks for trying to hook me on that one, yeah. Over the years, Jim, have you seen a progression in the different types of UFOs that people have been reporting? Like, I remember the first type that I became aware of were the cigar-shaped or cylindrical type UFOs.
Oh, there's so many types, and they've been reported to so many places by so many people. I'm a researcher for MUFON, UFO Network.
Yeah.
And been with them for years and years and years. And, UFOs have changed. I've studied this in my book, 5,000 Years of UFOs. And, they started out as saucers originally back in cave drawings, back in pre-recorded history. The date's not really known. They start out to drawing pictures of what they saw in the sky. People pointing at these saucer-shaped objects, and that's just at the beginning. They had disc-shaped objects back 10,000 BC in Nepal, and example, that's the Lolodolph plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 12,000-year-old stone dish found in Nepal. And it has a disc-shaped UFO engraved on it and a figure that represents, to some people, as a modern gray alien. And this is from 10,000 BC. And the first actual recorded sighting goes back to the Pharaoh Thutmose III in Egypt in 1,500 BC. He saw silent circles of fire and flying discs in the sky. And he thought it was so important that he had this recorded in stone in his in the pyramids. Actually had some poor stonemason had to go up there and carve the sighting report in stone in 1500 BC in Egypt.
All right, Jim, please stand by. You and I have to take our commercial break. Jim Hickman's our very special guest, and Jim is going to be a regular here on the X-Zone. We're so happy to have Jim back. His website, X-Zone Nation, www.hickmanreport.com, HICKMAN report.com. We'll be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar Radio Network.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise Retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Jim Hickman is my special guest of this final hour of this week's show, www.hickmanreport.com. That's www.hickmanreport.com. Jim, we're talking about the history behind ufology this hour here on the X-Zone and the Hickman Report. Prior to going to the commercial break, you were telling us about how inside of a pyramid there are even hieroglyphics, I guess we can call them, of UFOs.
Yes, exactly. It goes back before recorded history. People have seen things in the sky that they can't explain. I'm sure you know the astronomer Morris Jessup. He has a quote out saying, "Flying saucers are not new. For thousands of years, men have seen these mysterious objects in the sky." And what we need to know, and this quote comes from Dr. Ed Mitchell, who I had breakfast with in Roswell back just a couple of years ago. He told me that we all know UFOs are real. All we need to ask is, where are they coming from? And that's really what this is all about. There is something out there. People are seeing it every day. And the whole idea of this is we're trying to figure out what it is and where it's coming from. And people that just starting out with UFOs think that it all started in Roswell in 1947, and anything but. You can look back in the Bible, back to 593 B.C., Ezekiel's wheel. He saw a wheel in the sky.
Yes.
I've sat and read that passage in the Bible, and it just exactly describes a modern-day sighting report of a UFO. This man describes the colors of the lights he sees, what the alien beings, the exact description of these folks, and he was even taken aboard this craft and was abducted. And this is in the Bible. And that's a pretty authoritative document,
It sure is, Jim. And even when you look at Moses receiving the Ten Commandments on top of Mount Sinai, there's another example where it could easily have been a UFO or a craft from another planet or other dimension. And then you've got the pillar of smoke by day, pillar of fire by night. And there are time and time again biblical references to UFOs.
Yeah, Moses came down and his hair was gray. He may have been exposed to radiation of some kind. He came down off the mountain and his hair had changed color from just this encounter that he had. But we can go on through history, not to just stick on the Bible, but there's sightings throughout the Bible, and people should look into that. I spoke at the conference once again in Roswell, my favorite place to go talk. It's right close here to home. I'm in Oklahoma. But I gave a talk down there on a meeting between religious leaders throughout the nation and UFO leaders. And we all came together to realize that there are other people out there in the universe that God's made besides humans that are intelligent. And apparently they can travel faster than the speed of light and can reach Earth where we can't yet do that. Back in 1400 AD, I'm a historian. That's what I do for MUFON. I research sightings going back over 5,000 years. In 1400 AD, they painted a wall in a chapel of an object that looks just like a modern-day B-2 bomber. And this is even has a person belted into the cockpit. And you can see this drawing online on my website. There's other drawings from 1486. It shows an object that was aiming a beam down to the ground, and people are looking up at this object. And if you look at my presentation, there's an object that was taken, the picture of the object anyway, was taken by the author while I was on vacation at White Sands, New Mexico, back in 1997. He put the two pictures together, and they are identical. Whatever this object was in 1486 in London, I saw it in New Mexico in 1997. So there's something out there.
Is it possible, Jim, that there are certain locations on this planet that are more susceptible to a porthole that allows the past, the present, and the future to interchange?
Absolutely, and also there are ley lines that people have discovered. Some even go through right here in the United States. They go across the country and across the world, and for some reason these lines have major events connect directly to these lines. It's like a connect the dots kind of thing. And we can go on up to a little more modern age. I've been studying the 1890s for some reason the last 6 to 8 months. I did a show on the History Channel called Cattle Mutilations, and it's about a 1897 cattle mutilation and abduction by a flying object, and this occurred up in Kansas.
Well, isn't that part of the great airship sightings that they had?
Flap, yes.
Yeah.
That's what we call it in ufology, the 1897 airship flap. These objects are seen throughout the United States. They made the top of the news. They were seen across the country.
Mm-hmm.
People back at the time said these large airships were described as fast. They flew at night. They at the time they were reported, they called it a hoax or mass hysteria. And we won't mention what I think it actually was, but I stayed enough through this. I got newspaper reports, eyewitnesses reporting this from Michigan, the Daily Journal from Battle Creek, Michigan, Friday, April 2nd, 1897. These people residing here claimed the airship passed over this place about 10 o'clock last night. A brilliant white light. Oh, somebody wants to talk to me on the computer. Amazing. A brilliant white light suddenly appeared, accompanied by a sharp cracking sound. And the phenomenon lasted about 30 seconds. Others claimed they heard voices coming from a dark object, which they said floated through the air.
Mm.
But this is 1897. This is before the Wright brothers. Now, the Wright brothers were still building bicycles in that time. So Zeppelins were just now being developed and were still top secret in Germany. So this is something that people were seeing. I can go on and on about this. Just headlines from that particular period in March and April. In March 22nd, 1897, Iowans excited over an airship. Tuesday, March 30th, 1897, Omaha's airship is seen again. These are just the headlines, of course. Sunday, April 4th, 1897, airship now seen in Evanston, Ohio. Monday, April 5th, 1897, airship now seen in Ohio once again. On the 6th, airship seen in Illinois. On the 7th, 100-sea airship near Omaha. On the 8th, airship seen near Belle Plaine, Nebraska, I believe it is. Saturday, April 10th, Mystery of the Sky airship seen by thousands in Chicago, Illinois. It's April 10th, 1897. There's a picture from a drawn of an airship, April 14th, 1897. That's available on my website. This came from the St. Louis, Missouri Post-Dispatch. They had a huge flap of sightings, and this was throughout the nation. Once again, on April 10th, same day, egg-shaped when seen in Wisconsin, according to the eyewitness report here. Sunday, the 11th, the next day, 1897, California airship seen. On the 11th again, airship here again in Michigan. And the same day was seen in California and Michigan. So it's not the same object flying over. There's another sighting on the 12th in Michigan. One witness here describes this as the lower portion of the airship was thin, made of some white material like aluminum. The upper portion was dark, looked like a big cigar. So this comes into your era, Rob, of a cigar shape, pointed in front and with some kind of arrangement to the rear to which cables were attached. The pilot pulled these and steered the course to the south to northeast. Well, we watched the light on the airship till it went east and then disappeared from view. I think some time will prove that this is no fake. I've lived here too long to try and fool people. I have no desire for notoriety, the witness stated. It is an airship. He put that in parentheses. And if you don't believe it, look at the picture and be convinced, he says. I can swear that I saw an airship. So can 3 other men here whose word stands well in this community. So, Rob, something happened in 1897 that was just incredible.
Jim, stand by. We've got to take our commercial break with the news. When we come back, let's talk a little more and speculate on what that airship might have been. Jim Hickman's our special guest. www.hickmanreport.com. That's www.hickmanreport.com. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the all-new X-Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar Radio Network.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
And welcome back. Jim Hickman is our special guest this hour, www.hickmanreport.com. Jim, we're talking about the great airship flap going into the 1800s, close to the beginning of the 1900s. Over the last half hour, you've described a number of sightings from the news articles of the day. Jim, do you have any idea what they may have been seeing? Now, when it comes to the aspect of them seeing all UFOs, there was one story that you related to us where the witness saw a cable going to the back of this object, and when the pilot pulled, it maneuvered the craft. Now, if this was a UFO, the thought of a cable makes no sense.
Well, I don't lay any claim that it was a UFO. It's just an unidentified flying object.
Ah, okay.
Okay, they had no idea what they were looking at. I'm not saying that in any way that it could be alien or unworldly or other dimensional. It's just an unknown. We don't know what it was. I don't think anybody really knew what flew over back in 1897.
But can you make an educated guess, Jim? You've been studying ufology. You're a historian.
Well, you betcha. I think we should probably go into Aurora. Aurora, Texas is really the answer.
Really?
And yeah, they had. We were going with our timeline there. We were up to about April 11th. Mm-hmm. On the 12th, 1897, they had an airship appear over the town of Aurora, Texas, and that's one of my favorite places. I've been down there 3 or 4 times now. Looking at the gravesite of the occupant of the craft. Now, once again, I'm not saying that the occupant was an alien, but they described the occupant as something unworldly. I'll just kind of read from the newspaper clipping of the time.
Please do.
Yeah, this happened on April 12th, 1897. And I did a show on the History Channel on this. The gravesites down in Aurora. Aurora's a little town just outside of Fort Worth, Texas, about 14, 15 miles. And it's going to be gone soon. The Aurora Cemetery is there. They had a marker at one time proclaiming that it was the burial ground of a unknown occupant of the craft that flew over. They described a strange craft flew over the town about 6 this morning. That was be April 12th, 1897. And early risers of Aurora were astonished of the sudden appearance of the airship, which had been sailing around the country. It was traveling due north and much nearer Earth than before. Now, if you go to Aurora, it really slopes off from the north to south. And I'm assuming the occupant did a flight into ground here. It's the way they describe this. Once again, I can't say this is alien, but at the time, this is before the Wright brothers.
Right.
This is back when Zeppelin was just inventing airships, and they didn't have any in the United States, and they were not balloons. They described that evidently some part of the machinery of this craft was out of order, and they say they make a speed of only about 12 miles an hour, and it gradually sailed towards the Earth. It sailed over the public square, and then when it reached the north part of town, it collided with the town's windmill, and the debris was scattered over several acres of ground. There's a large explosion. This wrecked the windmill and the water tank, and landed in the town judge's flower garden. That's where the craft ended up. I'll call it a craft. I have no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. This is what these folks are describing from 1897, and trying to make sense of what they're describing over 100 years in the future from when it happened is hard. Trying to understand what these people saw and try and eliminate all the usual things that it could be, and then we're really only left with the more unusual. But once again, the pilot of the ship was supposed to have been the only one aboard. His remains were reported as being badly disfigured, enough that he'd been pictured, but there was enough for them to show that this was not an inhabitant of this world. Now, people said this report is a hoax, and I thought, well, okay, maybe it was a hoax to make the town grow bigger and, and do something like Roswell, publicity stunt. Well, it didn't work at Aurora because the town, if anything, has shrunk. The poor town is, when I first was down there may have been 10 people there, but I noticed that as I went through town and went to the south end of town, all of a sudden it started looking more and more like a military base. I couldn't find out the United States Air Force had built a military base in Aurora and really hadn't really told anybody about it. And it was a top secret base used all the way through the 50s and then decommissioned in the 70s. Anyway, to go back and talk a little bit more about this, Mr. T.J. Weems of the United States Army Signal Corps, he was the service officer who arrived at the place, and he was an expert in astronomy. He gives his opinion that the pilot was a native of the planet Mars. Papers found on his person were written in some unknown hieroglyphic, and according to him, they could not be deciphered.
But Jim, going back into history, it was on November the 21st, 1783, in Paris, France, that the first manned flight was made in a hot air balloon. So why couldn't the Chinese go back further than that in history with balloons? So why couldn't these hieroglyphics? Well, here we go again with hieroglyphics, because this is what people in Roswell claim was on a piece of the craft, unknown symbols that resembled hieroglyphics. So what would happen if, like that we know for a fact has happened in recent time with the Fugos, where the the Japanese have discovered that the air currents, the jet stream, goes across the Pacific, and bang, you've got a Japanese balloonist who is over the United States.
Yeah, they used that during World War II.
Right.
Excuse me, my disease is kicking a little bit. It's been a rough day. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But it could have been some kind of top secret aircraft that they were working on back in the 1890s that they didn't tell us about. It could have been something that a individual may have been inventing and out testing it at night.
Because by the year 1818, Jim, the French had developed a number of different types of airships. So if you've got all these sightings taking place in the western part of the United States, here you've got people in the eastern, now this is just a theory, people in the east have these air shows going on. Air balloons decide to travel further out west. The people out west are unaware that these airships actually do exist. They see something in the sky they can't explain.
Yeah, there's things flying. They had reports from Bermuda back in the 1880s, 1885, of triangular-shaped objects, not circular-shaped, not balloon-shaped. These are described as triangular-shaped.
Wow. And
it was seen by a general in the United States Army. And he thought that he thought that it might have been a balloon from France or England. But then he realized that the balloons that they had were balloon-shaped, and that what he saw was a squared-off triangle. So I think we're dealing with a lot of known objects. Probably 90 to 95% of everything that happened in the 1890s was known objects. Just like we're dealing with today with modern UFOs. Probably 90 to 95, 98% of them are going to be something that's known. If folks step outside tonight and look to the east, you're going to see something pretty remarkable. You see a bright red object in the sky that you probably haven't ever noticed. But I'll tell you, it's going to be the planet Mars. But to a lot of people, they're going to look at that and say, I don't know what that is. And they're going to report it as something unknown. It's going to move across the sky, and it's going to be the brightest object in the night sky tonight. So once again, people can be confused. It's easy to get confused. And it's where the investigator comes in, where you have to eliminate all these objects. If you look at, the show that I helped produce, Ghost Hunters, they go in and they try to debunk everything that's possible, what it could be, what could it possibly be that's possible here on Earth. What part of this is unnatural and unknown to our science, put it that way. What part of that is in this sighting is truly unknown. And that's what we're dealing with, trying to find the true unknown.
All right. Now, you said that when you were talking about Aurora, you basically said a publicity stunt like Roswell.
Well, you know what I think about Roswell. I think I have pretty much the same opinion. They have really taken that sighting, which is a good sighting, I think, in a lot of ways, and really blown it into a full-time job for a lot of folks. And I got to admit that they're trying their hardest to get people to come into the museum and to whether they're spending their money, and it's a good thing. To their town, it's a good thing. And people can learn about UFOs at the UFO Museum. I've spoken there myself and had a live audience there and spoken to people. And they're wonderful folks there. And I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that they use what's happened in their past to make money in the modern time. And other people are doing that too. Aurora, Texas has set up a UFO stand down there, right on Highway 114. You go through town, and you can. They got a UFO occupant out front, sitting out there in front of her place.
Unreal.
So everybody's going to try and make something out of what they see and they don't understand.
Tell me, Jim.
Human nature.
Tell me, Jim, in your expert opinion when it comes to UFOs, why is the myth of Roswell still alive? 60 years plus, no further evidence, bury it.
I agree. It's been looked at by so many experts and been discussed so many different ways that it's really to a point where it should probably be put to rest. I mean, something happened. Too many people saw it. Too many people signed depositions saying that they saw this object. Something happened. Well, that's a given. I think it's time to move on. We don't know. I don't think we're ever going to find out. They're not going to release whatever records there are on the subject. So it's time to move on. There are sightings happening today that need to be investigated. Look at the Stephenville, Texas case. Nobody's even probably even heard of that case, and yet it's one of the biggest sighting cases we've had in years, going back to '97 before the Phoenix Lights. And it's a shame people make money off the UFO business. I feel bad myself that I'm in it myself because I have books. I make a percentage off of every book I sell. But hopefully I make my books information. They're not in the entertainment section. They're in reference sections of libraries. I've given my book out throughout to libraries throughout Oklahoma here to have them on their bookshelf as reference works.
Jim, stand by. You and I have to take our final commercial break. Always great talking to our guest this hour, Jim Hickman. www.hickmanreport.com. That's www.hickmanreport.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And Jim and I will be back as we wrap up for this week in a couple of minutes as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada on the all-new X Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar Radio.
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com hickman.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of going past this last week and thanking all our guests. Started off the week with Jeff Knott, and throughout the week we spoke with Joel Garrow, we spoke with Rob Catlin, Philip Smith, Anthony Sylvia, Craig Grothy, Dr. Barry Pollock, Marilyn Zerby, Patrick Cook was my first guest this evening. Bruce Campbell Adamson, our second guest. Third guest, Joseph P. Farrell. And my guest this hour is my good friend, Jim Hickman. And Jim's website is filled with information, audio and video. Visit it. But be prepared to spend some time there. It's not one of these sites where you just go, oh, okay, yeah, and clip. You're going to be interested, you're going to be intrigued, and you're going to want to spend some time there. The website is www.hickmanreport.com. That's www.hickman, Hickman, report.com. Jim, we talked about airships very briefly, and I want to thank you so much for doing the history of UFOs with us tonight, because not very many people actually take the time to look back in time like you do as a historian. But when was the first cattle mutilation case, and is there a connection between the UFO flap in the 1800s and the first cattle mutilation case?
Yes, there is, Rob. I'm not sure if I can get into it in the time we have, but...
we'll use it as a teaser for the next time you're on with us.
Yeah, that's going to take a whole hour. It's from 1897, and we recreated it on the In Search of TV show with Leonard Nimoy.
Right.
And you can watch that on my website. I have that available online. And that gives you a whole idea of what happened back then. And we've also got the UFO Files cattle mutilation episode up on the website. Got a lot of things changed in the last couple of weeks, and a lot more audio and video files for everybody to get more information.
Jim, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know that you just got in from your day job, and you know you've been working hard. You're still recovering from your illness and your injury. So I want to thank you, buddy, for joining us tonight. It's always a great pleasure talking to you, Jim. And quickly plug your website. Okay.
Well, hopefully I've got a good website here. If you want information on UFOs, all that, it's right there. There are links to MUFON, which is probably the finest UFO group out there in the world. My website is www.hickmanreport.com, and you can also go to MUFON.com and get your information on UFOs.
All right, Jim. Thanks very much, pal. Nice talking to you. Take care of yourself. Regards to the family, and I look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks again here in the Hickman Report on the X-Zone. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. I want to take this opportunity of thanking each and every one of you for allowing us to be part of your day or night, no matter where you are in this great big world of ours. Also like to thank my wife, who is my senior producer, the lovely Laura Rogers. We'll be back Monday night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. So until Monday night, have a super safe weekend, take care of each other, and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night.